While a hit song is by no means easy to get, a successful follow-up second hit is often even more challenging. For that reason, today we've seen countless artists unfortunately fall under the label of a quote one-hit wonder. From rappers who blew up only to then beef with their labels such as Murray, or rappers who decided they wanted to change careers and try their hand at playing professional basketball, or such as the last artist on our list going out in the most sad way possible while on an airplane. In this video we take a look at 5 specific rappers who dropped a hit song and then were never really heard from again, as well as then also answer the question what happens after these rappers fall off. So let's start with Drum, who had a massive 8-time platinum hit Broccoli back in 2016. While at the peak of his music success, Drum made the most significant change an artist can make. Following his now 8-time platinum hit Broccoli, one of the biggest songs of 2016, Virginia artist Drum made the risky decision to ditch his artist alias and rebrand to something totally different. His government name Shelly.
Shelly, my God-given name. I like that.
But despite Drum hoping that this new identity would showcase his artistic evolution and propel him to new heights, instead it's done the complete opposite, as his career has never been the same since. However, while it's easy for us to say that Drum is the perfect example of how not to handle a massive hit song, seeing as he essentially ran away from Broccoli, although many label him just another one-hit wonder, as we're about to see in this video though, perhaps that's exactly what Drum wanted.
Felt like records like Broccoli and Cash Machine overpowered the totality of what I did.
The music video for Broccoli currently has close to 500 million views on YouTube alone. However, Drum's recent videos struggled to even hit 20,000. In addition to now falling under 3 million monthly listeners on Spotify, with many of those streams coming from old playlists featuring Broccoli, it's no secret that Drum's career did not pan out like many of us expected. Now, if you're wondering why I keep calling him Drum in a video about him changing his stage name, although he did switch it to Shelly at the peak of his popularity, after realizing the damage of that decision, he has finally returned back to going by Drum. Although, for being honest, it is far too late. But regardless of whichever name you refer to him as, to the average mainstream listener, Drum will always be known as simply the guy who made that one-hit song Broccoli. Something that, as we'll see in a second, was actually a huge factor behind his rebrand. However, the truth is, Drum's soon-to-be Diamond Smash hit featuring Lil Yachty wasn't even his breakout song.
It's a lot of people that heard this Broccoli record and they don't know that I did Cha-Cha.
Right.
Prior to dropping the most unavoidable track of 2016 came Drum's single Cha-Cha 2 years earlier. A track that would not only catapult him into the industry, but then also land him in some beef with arguably the biggest artist on the planet, Drake. Released back in 2014 on his first ever mixtape, Number 1 Epic Summer, thanks to its simple yet catchy chorus and beat, Cha-Cha instantly put Drum on the map. Along with cosigns from mainstream stars such as Chance the Rapper, as well as even Beyonce posting a video dancing to it, the viral success of Cha-Cha led straight to Drum's first record deal with Atlantic Records. But then, just a year later in 2015, came the most attention Drum had ever seen when Drake actually dropped a remix to Cha-Cha. Or at least so we thought.
That's a direct bite of Cha-Cha.
Yeah, it was.
New Drake on that Cha-Cha remix tweeted the official Apple Beats One account. Drake's Cha-Cha remix Hotline Bling is something new, reads this headline from The Fader. Drake's Cha-Cha remix from Billboard. Drake shares Cha-Cha remix on Beats One radio show, according to Pitchfork. On July 25th, 2015, while in the middle of his beef with Meek Mill, Drake would premiere 3 new songs on his OVO Sound radio show. The first one was Charged Up, a direct response to Meek, the second being a Lucy single titled Right Hand, and the third was, at least at first, a remix of Drum's Cha-Cha, before soon being renamed to Hotline Bling for the official release and then going on to become one of the biggest songs of Drake's career, with literally over 2 billion views on YouTube. Yeah, I feel I got jacked for my record, Drum tweeted after hearing Hotline Bling. But I'm good. Bitter though, cause after my performance, all I'm seeing is Cha-Cha and Hotline Bling comparisons on my timeline. We love Cha-Cha first, responds Erykah Badu. Very unique and raw. The truth is though, the sample in Hotline Bling is from Timmy Thomas's Why Can't We Live Together, which hovers around the exact same chord progression as Cha-Cha, also combined with a similar cadence, thus leading many fans to claim the 2 songs sound very similar.
I like to Cha-Cha, hey, on my cell phone.
You know, like in Jamaica you'll have a rhythm, and it's like everyone has to do a song on that beat, Drake told The Fader in regards to these biting accusations. Imagine that in rap or in R&B. So sometimes I'll pick a beat that's a bit like sunnier than usual and I'll try my hand at it. And that's kind of what Hotline Bling was.
But did Drake kill your record? Did it hurt your record when he put it out?
Yeah, it really did.
You know that as a DJ. Damn, but I thought it was still gonna work on the charts.
Drake's now certified Diamond Smash Hotline Bling would of course significantly overshadow Cha Cha. You took his sound, one Reddit user jokes. Drake, nah, Rhythm. Oh well, alright then, nothing to see here. However, their beef did not end there. Almost 7 years later in 2022, Drake would reference the situation again on his collab album Her Loss with 21 Savage, rapping on the hook of Back Outside Boys.
Try to bring the John, tell me he ain't know how we cha-cha slide.
And once again, Drum wasted no time responding back, this time posting a video on Twitter, also revealing there was more that went down behind the scenes.
Hey, somebody tell Drake to shut about that, man. 5 years ago, never even touched me. I pressed his ass. His bodyguards, goddamn. I ain't gonna hold you. His bodyguards went to town on the kid. But his bodyguards did, not his. He ain't touched me. He's a, you know that. What's good with the one-on-one though, my baby? But he don't want to do that.
Although Drum has since admitted that he's now over the whole thing and it's water under the bridge, just a year after Hotline Bling release, Drum would get his sweet revenge back on Drake, dethroning him from the #1 spot on the charts. Broccoli was 1,000,000 times bigger than he'd ever thought possible. But as we now know, this would end up the peak of Drum's music career, right before he made his most costly mistake. Today, a lot of hip-hop fans look back on 2016 as being one of the best and most renovative years for music, and Drum's 8-time platinum hit Broccoli perfectly embodies that 2016 sound. After linking up with another buzzing SoundCloud rapper, Lil Yachty, thanks to some help from music legend Rick Rubin, first released on SoundCloud in April of 2016, again you literally could not escape Broccoli the entire year.
That song defined that era of life. 2016.
Thanks to its extremely catchy melodies, piano, loop, and flute paired with Lil Yachty's self-dubbed bubblegum trap sound, hearing the two express their love for the magical green plant, Broccoli would become not only Yachty's first song to ever chart on Billboard, despite claiming he recorded his verse in just 6 minutes, but then also become Drum's biggest song of his career, currently approaching 1 billion streams on Spotify alone.
Ain't no, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just instantly. Yeah. And in the middle of the party, get off of me. One take. That whole hook was one take.
To keep his momentum rolling, in the fall of 2016, Drum released his debut studio album Big Baby Drum under Atlantic Records and Empire Distribution, with the deluxe edition a year later including huge features from Young Thug, Playboi Carti, Trippie Redd, and A$AP Rocky. Big Baby Drum was met with generally positive reviews, in addition to then joining Kendrick Lamar and Travis Scott on tour, as well as landing features on mainstream songs with Chance the Rapper and Calvin Harris. Life seemed to be going great for Drum in 2017. However, looking back on it now, Drum admits that it was going a little too great. As with all that newfound fame, this is really where everything took a big turn for the worse. Despite being certified gold, Big Baby Drum would end up his only album released for the next 4 years. Obviously that's not going to be good for any artist's popularity to just go ghost like that for so long, but what happened next was 1,000,000 times worse in terms of marketability. In 2020 came the career-altering decision to change his artist name from Drum to his official government name Shelly, and although, as we'll see in a second, his reasoning behind the change was honestly respectable, again, from a business and marketing standpoint, changing your name as an already established artist is about the worst decision one can make, because after Broccoli took the internet by storm, everybody was familiar with the name Drum, which is actually an acronym for Does Real Ass Music, but by switching his name to something totally different in Shelly, as a casual listener who stumbles upon his music, they would have no idea that that's the same artist.
Was it a label issue or something like that, or
No,
everything was straight? It's just
yeah, bro, like, look, Shelly. My mama named me Shelly after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my grandfather, his name was Shelly. My mother named me after him.
There's honestly so much power behind an artist's name, and we often just don't think much about it. Essentially their first form of identity. As Drum himself states, names mean everything in a world where it's so much white noise. There's so many things out there meant to take away your attention, and you're in competition with everything. By no means though is Drum the first artist to ever change their name, as plenty of today's biggest rappers started out under a different alias. However, 99% of the time these changes are either something super small like shortening your name, such as Lotto did from Mulatto, or dropping the Lil from your name like Bow Wow, and usually you make this change before you get an 8-time platinum hit. Drum's first release under his new name was then his self-titled album Shelly, formerly known as Drum, in April of 2021. At a concise 10 tracks, this album was not the happy, upbeat trap sound that many fans knew Drum for, but instead a smooth R&B album full of soothing love songs, a total opposite from his previous hits.
You know, it's a step away from the Drum stuff, so Shelly.
In an effort to help fans make the transition easier, he even included formerly known as Drum at the end after Shelly, also hoping to still show up in search engines. However, while his core fanbase showed support, this gutsy move ended up costing him a lot of casual listeners who only knew him from Broccoli. Not to mention Shelly FKA Drum is not the most aesthetically pleasing stage name. As his final album released through Atlantic and Empire, this project would fail to reach the Billboard charts at all, clearly flying under many people's radar. There is no doubt that Drum's name change had a massively negative impact on his music career's popularity, but after hearing the true reason behind his decision, you have to respect it. This isn't a continuation of what came before, Drum explains when asked what he hopes the rebrand would accomplish. It's a new day. The truth is, while Drum is thankful for the success of his early hits which launched him into the mainstream spotlight, at the same time, he felt that his versatility as an artist was being overshadowed by fans' expectations. Basically, he felt Broccoli trapped him in a box as an artist, when in reality, Drum was trying to move away from that sound and image as a whole.
And then I also looked at it like, okay, so when you think of Drum, you think Broccoli, you think Cha-Cha.
I never wanted to be branded that, recalls Drum in an interview with Audiomack. Broccoli was a record that was supposed to be cool for the pool. I had no idea it would come to encapsulate what my real range was. It was to the point where, for the average listener, that was my only thing. Who wants that? Drum was simply ready for a reintroduction and a fresh start in the industry, and he hoped that this new identity, Shelly, would allow him more creative freedom.
Those records took on a world of their own, and I'm forever grateful for the successes of those records.
But combined with his desire to go the R&B route, there was also a little more motivation behind his name change. Shelly was symbolic to the changes that I made in not only my musical direction, but also my lifestyle in general. What a lot of fans don't know is that during the few years after Broccoli exploded and he blew up, while everything again seemed to be going great on the outside, behind the scenes Drum was really struggling with the fame. I wasn't really hip to what life was like at the top tier with that much exposure and attention. I was on some real rockstar shit. I could drink damn near a fifth a day and was on the powder and all of the other stuff. Like, bro, I was f***ed up. The music was done.
Doing wild shit, being wild, like shit, it was like parties 3 or 4 times a week. I was getting f***ed up. I ain't gonna hold you.
Drum was spiraling down a dark path that even he admits was not going to end well. However, thanks to an intervention from friends, he would then go into addiction rehab for a few weeks in 2020 during the pandemic, which really opened his eyes to turn his life around. So that's exactly what he did. Combined with altering his eating habits as well as drinking addiction, Drum also began frequently working out in 2020, going on to lose nearly 60 pounds. But unfortunately, that same year came more terrible news for him too, as his mother, known to fans as Big Baby Mom and who even performed alongside him on Jimmy Fallon, passed away in November of 2020. I knew that change made her happy, recalls Drum of both his lifestyle and musical transformation. She knew about the life I was living, and that's not what she would have wanted. So that was all the motivation I needed. These past 2 years, Drum has continued to drop R&B projects, although he is no longer signed to Atlantic Records, instead releasing them independently, also returning back to the alias of Drum. Whether you agree with his reasoning or not, there is no denying that Drum's name change destroyed his popularity as an artist. However, not only is it his career and the choice entirely his own, but as it appears at the age of 35, Drum is happy now and finally back to enjoying the music he's making. Murray's career is currently sinking deep in quicksand, and as each day passes, it is only getting worse. Just 4 years ago, following his breakout hit with over 200 million views on YouTube alone, North Carolina artist Murray was one of the most buzzed about upcoming names.
It's like you smell the best food in your life, like, who is cooking that? This right here, bro.
However, these past 2 years have been the complete opposite in terms of success for Murray. Along with having not dropped a project since 2021, it has now also been over an entire year since Murray even released a new song. With many fans left to wonder what happened to Murray, simply by looking at his recent tweets, it seems to be a tale of an upcoming artist falling victim to the cutthroat music industry. But as we're about to see, the truth behind Murray's disappearance is much deeper than meets the eye. 4 years ago, Murray thanked Marshmello's manager Mo Shalizi for, quote, saving his life and signing him to a record deal. However, today, here in 2024, Murray lists the same guy as the one responsible for his downfall. Just like his music career though, Murray's life has already seen plenty of ups and downs. Prior to superstar DJ Marshmello's manager calling Murray's wife's cell phone to offer him a contract, Murray was simply a young kid who was always finding himself in trouble. Born and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina, also the same place that J. Cole grew up, with a father that was abusive then left and a mother who was always working to survive, Murray's childhood was by no means easy.
I was the only child, so my mom really had to work a lot. So she couldn't give me the things that, normal people would have. My homeboy JJ, I was losing weight. He used to give me his skinny jeans because that's all he had to give me. And I was chubby with skinny as a jeans, so.
Murray and his mother bounced around living from basement to basement, but although he grew up singing in the church choir and was actually a smart student on A's and B's honor roll, as he says being the chubby kid who wouldn't take any shit, Murray was constantly getting in fights outside of class. However, at the age of 12, his mother had enough and decided that they were going to pack up and move to Lebanon, Pennsylvania. By basically starting over fresh, his mom thought that moving to this small city of only about 25,000 people would help Murray stop his aggression. But instead, the complete opposite happened. Feeling like a total fish out of water in this new strange place, Murray resorted back to what he knew best: fighting. Murray got in so many fights in just his first month of 6th grade at this new school that he was kicked out of the district before even the 2nd month.
I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, so I'm a little country. These city niggas is disrespectful. Now I gotta understand, okay, that's what you do, so now I gotta get my hands up because I'm fighting every single day.
But in addition to fighting, it was also in Pennsylvania that Murray was first introduced to rap music. After making friends with the local hip-hop collective, it was then that Murray really discovered his true passion. "I'd go and hang out with these dudes that just did music," Murray says. "I'd just sit with them and listen to them rap, and the music would calm me down. Music has always been my outlet, but I didn't know how to use it until I got older." Once he got older, following a rough 6 years in Pennsylvania, Murray and his mother decided to return back to Fayetteville. Having now, quote, learned from himself and his previous mistakes, Murray was determined to turn his life around for the better. "I got a girl pregnant and ended up having my first son. That's what made me realize that I'll never let him see me this way. I did whatever I had to do to stay afloat because I had to show my son how to be a man." However, due to the fact that at this time in 2014, Murray was still yet to even record his first song, he was left to work numerous day jobs to support his family and new baby. From everything including construction to call centers to even a pork processing plant where he had to cut intestines out of pigs, it wasn't until his wife's birthday in 2014 when Murray was inspired to record his first song. "I was 21 and was just getting ready to move out of my mom's house. I decided to write my wife a birthday song and post it on Facebook. That was July 26, 2014. I remember that day like the back of my hand. That was the day I started taking music seriously."
I was like, yo, I'm happy now with her. I'm stable now, I got a car, I got a house, well, I got somewhere to stay. Let me try to follow my dream now.
Heavily inspired by Drake and his ability to mix both singing and rapping, as Murray specifically lists Drake's 2009 mixtape So Far Gone as one of his all-time favorites. Combined with the years he spent as lead gospel singer of his church choir, this all helped influence Murray's unique vocal style and melodies. Despite music being a good escape for Murray though, his early songs he posted on SoundCloud would only gain a few hundred streams, far from enough to make money off of. But little did Murray know that one day in the beginning of 2020, after having just lost his job at a call center, while also now having 3 kids to take care of at home, something his wife told him really opened his eyes and changed his approach to music.
And she was telling me, what this could be better, this could be better, it was making me so tight. So I said, let me write a song about me and try to see what happens. I went in the bathroom, smoked our last blunt on me, didn't even care, locked the door, and I wrote Quicksand.
Murray's wife understood him better than anyone, and knowing everything he'd been through in life, she encouraged him to make music that was more personal, stating that people want to hear something authentic. So that is exactly what he did. Rolling his last blunt, Murray then went into the bathroom and wrote the song that was about to change his life forever. But as we're about to see though, Quicksand would also be the song that led to his record contract with the same person he now claims is destroying everything he built. Motivated by his wife's feedback, Murray would then record the first version of what would soon become his platinum hit, Quicksand. Featuring a blend of soulful melodies mixed with heartfelt lyrics and an extremely catchy chorus, immediately after recording Quicksand in his kitchen, Murray and his wife knew this one was different.
Quicksand is the first song when I really combined them both. It was like, I could do both and to see what happens. And I think that's what the problem was. It was either I wanted to be a rapper or I wanted to be a singer. And when I realized I could do both, so I do both.
But while Murray knew that the track had potential, he also knew that he needed a music video to go with it. And with money already tight, he then enlisted the help of this guy, Jax of North, who had actually worked with Murray at the same call center, and Jax of North would then shoot the music video for free for his former co-worker. However, after first posting the Quicksand video on his YouTube channel in March of 2020, it did not initially blow up much at all, only gaining about 1,000 views in its first month. And while at the time Murray thought that was great, Quicksand now sits at over 215 million views on YouTube, all thanks to a surprise phone call his wife received out of nowhere. One random day in April of 2020, while searching down a YouTube rabbit hole, Mo Shalizi stumbled upon the Quicksand music video, and instantly captivated by Moray's vocals and personality, despite the video again only having 1,000 views, Mo Shalizi saw the potential right away. Now, if you don't know who Mo Shalizi is, he's a very experienced and connected artist manager, as well as founder of his own record label Pick 6 Records, although he's most notable for managing and blowing up the career of superstar DJ Marshmello.
Essentially, all these artists are brands now. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you build that, brand awareness for the artist and, bring value and stuff to the brand as a whole as a manager?
As soon as Mo stumbled across Quicksand on YouTube though, he immediately started trying to get in touch with Moray. However, there were just a few problems. At this point in 2020, not only had Moray lost his job at a call center, but then his own cell phone service had also been discontinued. Not to mention he had just spent his last paycheck on gas to drive and see his father-in-law who was awaiting a kidney transplant. Understandably, as Moray states, I did not give a single fuck about music at that time. But yet Mo Shalizi was persistent and kept trying. I tried hitting him up on Instagram when he had like 500 followers and got nothing. Mo told Vice about first discovering Moray. Found his personal Facebook, there was no answer. Eventually though, Mo was able to get in contact with the videographer who shot the Quicksand music video, Jax of North, who would then send Mo Shalizi Moray's wife's cell phone number.
I fuck with boy, like the fact that he picked me at a time where my phone was off, I had no job.
Wow.
We were in a different state. Like, he was really trying to figure out the next move, and the move like plopped in my lap.
At the time in 2020, Moray called it, quote, the best call he had ever received. However, as we'll see in a second, he now regrets picking up that phone. Prior to Mo's phone call, Moray was seriously considering never recording another song. But after finally linking up, they agreed on Mo Shalizi becoming his first manager, as Moray would sign to Mo's record label Pick 6 Records, and the two got right to work.
He said, but I really want to get behind you and push you as hard as I can. If you're willing to work your hardest, I'm willing to work behind you.
However, the first thing Mo Shalizi did as Moray's new manager was actually delete the Quicksand music video, along with the rest of Moray's previously released songs, since he never really had the money to get his early tracks properly mixed and mastered. Not to mention Quicksand was again originally recorded in Moray's kitchen. Mo Shalizi knew that the song needed to be professionally reworked in order to meet industry standards and really blow up. So, after re-recording the vocals in a studio with Mo in LA, although he was concerned about losing the few thousand streams the music video had gained, Moray trusted Mo and his team as they made the decision to re-upload the video with this better quality audio in October of 2020, which I think it's safe to say that Moray's trust paid off.
That pressure off me, you feel me? And then all of a sudden, I wasn't focused on finding a job, I was focused on writing music. And all of a sudden, now I'm in LA. I recorded all these songs. Now all of a sudden, Quicksand got 100,000. Like, what the f*** is happening?
This shit amazing, comments fellow Fayetteville rapper J. Cole under Moray's post. My boy got a hit, says fellow Shalizi group superstar DJ Marshmello, along with more mainstream cosigns from DaBaby and Jay-Z, who included Quicksand in his official 2020 title playlist, plus of course some help from TikTok. The success of this single would help land Moray his first major record deal with Interscope Records, in a joint partnership with Mo Shalizi and Pick 6 Records. And at first, everything was going great.
No cap, thank you to Interscope, Pick 6, my fans, family, everybody involved, because we did it.
It's just so dope to be on a winning team with Pick 6, and then to add a powerhouse like Interscope to the mix is truly an amazing blessing. To keep his momentum rolling, Moray would then drop his debut project and first release under Interscope in April of 2021, a 14-track mixtape titled Street Sermons. But the year was just getting started for Moray. After landing a huge feature on J. Cole's sixth studio album, The Off-Season, on the track My Life with 21 Savage, still Moray's best performing song on the charts, peaking at number 2, Moray would then join Cole's 2021 off-season tour as an opening act, giving him yet another massive cosign and opportunity.
My first time linking with J. Cole, he flew me on the PJ to LA. I don't tell the story a lot. My bad, big bro. He came out. He walked on the plane. I'm like, nah. Boy walked up with the messy dress, bro. I'm talking about, I said, this is really cold.
That same summer, Moray was also named to the 2021 XXL freshman list in one of the weaker classes, alongside artists like Pooh Shiesty, 42 Dugg, and Coi Leray. From a troubled past to a promising future, Moray's story was the definition of the American dream. It all made perfect sense, recalls Moray of his come-up. Pick 6 Records and Mo Shalizi, that's my guru. I go to him whenever things don't make sense, and he always makes everything make sense. I honestly can't thank Mo enough for saving my life.
That's my squad.
Yeah.
Loyalty is super big to me.
However, while Moray and Mo Shalizi's first 2 years of working together were about as successful as they could have imagined, the next 2 years, though, played out like every artist's worst nightmare. F the label, F the CEO, they F them all, Moray tweeted. Despite building all this momentum, as we now see, 2021 would go down as the peak of Murray's music career, and as of the time I'm recording this, the year of his last music project. The following year, 2022, saw Murray release a string of singles, including Still Here featuring Cordae, although none of these tracks were anywhere close to the success of Quicksand. Then came 2023, after only officially releasing one song the whole year on streaming platforms with a track called High Life featuring Lil TJ in March, still released under Interscope and Pick 6 Records. It has now been over an entire year since Murray has dropped new music. In addition to the fact that again, his last project was over 3 years ago and he has still not dropped a debut album, many fans have been left to wonder what happened to Murray. Well, these past few months he's finally been revealing his side of what's going on behind the scenes. Being held back by labels and contracts, all I want to do is release my art, Murray tweeted in March of 2024. I got so much music to drop, ask the effing labels why I can't. Ask the effing label why ain't coming out. Ask them why they bullshit. Being held back by the ones I started with is crazy. Just know I got some to get off my chest. Clearly we can conclude from these recent tweets that Murray and his label have been beefing behind the scenes. More specifically, the one he started with Mo Shalizi and Pick 6 Records. To confirm this is true, we can see that not only do Mo Shalizi and Murray no longer follow each other on Instagram, while Mo still follows literally every single other artist signed under Pick 6 Records, but then we can also see that the official Pick 6 account doesn't even follow Murray anymore either, despite him still being listed in their bio, still listed on their website, and again their account follows literally every other artist signed to the label but Murray. Unfortunately, we don't know yet exactly what went down behind the scenes, but it's no secret that Mo and Murray are no longer on good terms at all. Perhaps it was creative differences in the two wanting to take his career in different directions, or maybe it was something more personal. But as it appears, Murray's label has basically shelved him and isn't letting him release music when he wants to. However, we see this happen quite often, especially with upcoming rappers. Typically, when an artist's new releases are constantly flopping with fans, a label will essentially not let them drop music whenever they want. From a business and marketing standpoint, this makes sense, as they don't want to waste money and invest on someone they know will flop, but from a new artist's point of view, this is easily one of the most damaging setbacks that can happen when you're trying to establish your career and be consistent.
When everybody said, oh, my record label's controlling me and I can't get out of this deal, bro, the record label's sitting back like, wait a minute, you didn't do anything. Your flopped. The $10 million we gave you was for you to make a dope project that wasn't gonna flop. You already broke your contract, so now you think we're gonna let you go away and just get out of this deal while still owing us money? No!
For this reason, what we often see happen is rappers fight it out until their contract is over and they get released, which not only is it much harder as an independent artist with no help from a major label, but usually by this point they have waited so long and killed all the momentum they had previously built, such as Lil Skies. In a very similar situation with his label, who kept shelving him after he flopped and only sold 15K with his second album. After waiting it out, Skies is now independent, but many argue that it's too late.
Your boy is independent, bruh. I'm fully independent, just me.
As it appears, Murray is currently attempting this same thing. Still waiting to be released. Should I drop a freestyle? Murray tweeted in December of 2023. But although we aren't given the specific terms and length of Murray's record contract to know exactly when he'll be released, I can guarantee you that tweeting stuff like F the label and F the CEO is not going to make them want to help you out. In fact, it does the total opposite. Combined with the label likely being afraid that his album would flop, it's also possible that they just thought it wasn't good enough to release. As like Murray says after presenting what he thought was his finished debut album to one of his idols, J. Cole, which was originally set to release in early 2023 titled Long Story Short, but Cole told them that it still needed work.
I've presented hella albums. I've been ready for an album. Don't get me wrong, bro. I've been ready. I've presented to Cole. He told me, nigga, you're not ready. And you know how hard it is to take that from somebody you look up to? Like, I think I'm done. And you tell me I'm not? Like, what the f?
Again, as of this video, Murray's last project was over 3 years ago back in 2021. And the truth is, as he continues to wait, he is only sinking his career deeper and deeper. However, just like real quicksand though, simply because you find yourself sinking does not mean that you can't escape, but you do have to know the proper technique. Now at age 31 and set to become an independent artist, there is no doubt that Murray has an extremely tough road ahead of him if he wants to regain the popularity he once had. But as we also just saw, Murray is no stranger to tough roads. Despite already accomplishing more than many artists do in their entire careers, only time will tell if Murray can ever replicate that same success. At the age of 18, Sheck West dropped arguably the biggest banger of the last decade. A song made in just 20 minutes even got to the point where people were literally having to, quote, restrict the playing of Mo Bamba at parties because their floors couldn't handle it.
You don't see that a lot. We fell through the floor.
However, after blowing up and signing a joint record deal with Kanye West and Travis Scott back in 2018, it wasn't long before Sheck West then kinda disappeared. What nobody talks about when it comes to having a massive hit is all of the difficulties that come with it. More specifically, how hard a track like Mo Bamba is to follow up. But as we're about to see, maybe Sheck West didn't even want to follow it up, and instead has moved on to chasing his other childhood dream.
Il ressort pour Sheck West à 3 points, 3 points pour Sheck West et ça va faire lever la foule.
With just 4 singles released since 2020 and no album in over 5 years, some fans believe that Sheck West has retired from making music. So let's take a look at the truth, starting back where it all began. Sheck West titled his debut album Mud Boy, which is what he describes as a very accurate description of his rough childhood. Before being sent over to Africa by his mother due to behavioral issues, Sheck West spent the first 17 years of his life back and forth between Harlem and Milwaukee. His parents had split and neither of them financially stable, leading to, as Sheck says, an extremely hostile environment growing up. My mom came here in '93 to hustle and grind for everything we had. She didn't know how to read or write. Same with my father in '95, came from nothing.
We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. 1 bedroom. My house was this big, I swear. My bed was here, my sister's bed was here, 1 bathroom, my mom's room.
Although Sheck was interested in music, his first true love was the game of basketball. Since he was a kid, he enjoyed hooping, but after realizing in high school that his grades were never going to be good enough for college, basketball became what he thought was his only way out, pushing him to lock in even harder. As a 6'2" combo guard you can see here, Sheck definitely does indeed have some skill on the court, a statement even LeBron agrees with.
J. Cole cool, but Sheck West. Sheck West,
he was a real
ball player though.
Yeah.
Like he could hoop for real.
It was through basketball in the streets of Harlem that Sheck would first meet Mo Bamba, the future NBA lottery pick who'd not only be the name of the now 5-time platinum song, but who'll also vouch for Sheck as a player.
Not a lot of people know his background, but Sheck was a basketball player. He led the city in assists. And then, yeah, he was real.
However, during his high school years, Sheck's slender 6'2" frame also caught the eye of a talent scout for a modeling agency in the city, thus introducing him to the world of fashion. At this time, he was able to keep playing ball while also landing modeling gigs on the side. But that was until everything changed the night of February 11th, 2016 on the biggest stage, Madison Square Garden. The exact same night of his team's big playoff game was Kanye West's iconic Yeezy Season 3 show and listening party, an event Sheck had been offered to model for. Making, quote, the best decision of his life, Sheck skipped his playoff game to model on stage next to Young Thug and Lil Yachty, as well as countless other A-list stars in attendance, something he says opened a lot of doors for him in his career.
If we would have made it to the championship, we would have played in Madison Square Garden. But if I would have just went to season 3, I would have been.
He was going to
Madison Square
Garden. Yeah.
Keep in mind though, this was still a year before Mo Bamba was even released, and 2 years before Sheck signed his record deal with Kanye. However, just when things started moving for Sheck West for the first time in his life, his mother then stepped in and decided that it was time for him to actually move, all the way back to Africa. Deciding to skip his team's playoff game basically crushed any hope Sheck had left for playing basketball at the next level. Realizing this, he started going all in on modeling as well as also releasing his first songs on SoundCloud. Sheck West comes from a very religious Muslim family, and despite his modeling success, his mother was not happy with this wild lifestyle she saw Sheck getting into, constantly partying, skipping class, not doing his homework, so she basically tricked him into living with their family in Africa in hopes to get his mind right.
My mom sent me to Africa because she didn't want me modeling and I wasn't going to school. I was like running the streets with all my friends. Yeah, to Senegal.
After arriving in Africa, his brother tricked Sheck into handing him over his passport, lying and saying he'd keep it safe, leaving Sheck stuck there and killing all the momentum he had going in America. What he thought was only a few-day trip was now sounding more like a few years according to his mom.
Everybody steal, somebody might steal your passport, travel on your passport, like it's things people do, but they was just gassing me up. To just get my passport. So I handed my passport over. That was the worst decision I could have made. He had my passport, and then my mom called me like, yeah, you just stay in Africa for like 2-3 years. I'm like, what?
So this is when you realized she had set you up?
Yeah, and at this time, my modeling shit was booming.
Understandably so, at first Sheck was pissed. However, eventually he decided to just embrace it until he was 18 and could return back home, learning valuable lessons and maturing during his time in Africa. When he finally returned to the States in 2016, Sheck Wes was more determined than ever. He picked up his modeling career again and started dropping more songs on SoundCloud. But little did Sheck know one song he made in just 20 minutes was about to change his life forever. His childhood friend Mo Bamba had been asking Sheck to name drop him in a song ever since he first started making music. That wish came true in 2017. Although independently released in 2017, it wasn't until a year later when Sheck Wes's Mo Bamba absolutely exploded. Thanks to its repetitive, simple, yet extremely catchy chorus, Mo Bamba blew up basically off word of mouth. Despite no label support or radio budget, you literally could not escape this song back in 2018. Along with its infectious hook, that part right there is the defining moment of Mo Bamba. However, interestingly enough, the beat cutting out was actually the result of the laptop they were recording on freezing. But since Sheck freestyles all his songs anyways, he just continued rapping.
I Can't Move the Mouse is already pretty much all the way through this entire song, and I know if it cuts out, we'll probably just end up going home. But then as soon as he was like, oh, shit, then everything just came right back at unfroze, and then like 8 bars after that had just like magically appeared.
The year of 2018 just kept getting better and better for Sheck Wes. As Mo Bamba was going crazy, the track would catch the ear of fellow rapper Travis Scott, who immediately loved Sheck's music and energy and wanted to sign him to his label. But then Kanye West stepped in. My deal was about to be signed with Cactus Jack, and then Kanye heard Mo Bamba. He flew me out to LA overnight to meet up with him and Pusha T. I went in there with a butterfly effect hat on, and he calls Trav like, I heard you're f***ing with Sheck Wes. Let's do this shit together.
I really want to just bring out one of the illest ragers I know, a Cactus Jack rager for sure.
Sheck would officially sign a joint record deal with Kanye West's Good Music label, Travis Scott's Cactus Jack, and Interscope Records in 2018. Travis was now bringing him out at shows, Drake brought him out in Toronto, Mo Bamba was added to 2K, and Sheck Wes was heard on Travis's new album Astroworld, as well as he also got name-dropped in Drake's Sicko Mode verse. To keep the momentum rolling, his debut studio album Mudboy released in the fall of 2018. Going on to peak at number 17 on the Billboard charts, that's honestly pretty good for a rapper's first project. However, despite announcing his second project just a day after this one's release, as of today, Mudboy is still Sheck Wes's only album. The following year, 2019, was nowhere near as good to Sheck Wes. With only 3 singles and a feature on the Cactus Jack Boys collab project, Sheck was also met with abuse and SA allegations made against him. From singer Justin Sky to then ex-girlfriend and social media personality India Love calling him out. Although no charges were pressed and he denies them, these very public claims were not a good look for Sheck's image. But then 2020 arrived, and along with the COVID pandemic also came a new opportunity for Sheck Wes to chase his dream. The saying all rappers want to be hoopers and all hoopers want to be rappers doesn't exactly apply to Sheck Wes. As we saw earlier, prior to finding major success in modeling and music, basketball was Sheck's first love, and what was in his eyes the only way out. Damn, it's really real, the 2020 NBA draft. Playing basketball and going to play pro in the NBA is something I always strive for. Tonight that dream comes true. Sheck Wes had announced that he was eligible for the 2020 NBA draft, but as expected, he went undrafted. The whole thing was more so a promotion for his new single that same day, Been Ballin', in which he does get drafted by a fake Adam Silver in the music video.
The New York Knicks select.
While no NBA team selected Sheck, this new song actually did spark an idea into one overseas club, the Paris basketball team. Competing in the second tier of basketball in France, the Paris basketball team was struggling to recover from the pandemic, with interest and attendance numbers at an all-time low. So despite admitting that he had no clue whether or not he could play at the required level of their league, one of the team's owners reached out to Sheck Wes. With the goal to achieve his lifetime dream as well as prove himself as a legit player, Sheck agreed to join for the 2021 season. I didn't come here to sell my album or make it gimmicky. I came here with no chains on just to hoop and play hard, said Sheck.
Do you have a goal in basketball in Paris?
Yeah. Drop buckets. Get wins.
However, Sheck would only end up playing in 3 games with the team, and as we can see by his stats here, he finished with this 1 3-pointer and a free throw.
Il ressort pour Sheck Wes à 3 points, 3 points pour Sheck Wes et ça va faire lever la foule.
For whatever reason, Sheck Wes didn't last long with the Paris basketball club. Maybe it was too much for him, maybe he wasn't nearly as good enough, or maybe he just decided he didn't want to play anymore. The truth is, Sheck Wes can do whatever he wants now. As we just saw, he's already lived a very eventful life and rough childhood, so then after making millions of dollars off of one single song, honestly it's understandable if he wants to chill out of the public eye. Besides the very rare Sheck Wes feature we hear about once a year, in addition to the rare appearance at Rolling Loud or on an Adin Ross stream, Sheck has still been teasing his second studio album he announced 5 years ago, possibly now named You Know the Scouts, despite Travis Scott telling us that it would be out by the time he dropped Utopia. Sheck claims it will still drop this year, but like one fan replied, he's also said that for the past 5 years. After 3 more singles in 2022, the latest we've heard from him was actually on Utopia, although I bet the average listener didn't even notice. Sheck Wes's ad-libs can be heard on track 8 Fiend along with Playboi Carti. For some reason though, Sheck also originally had a verse on the song too, which despite getting cut can still be heard on the vinyl. If we're being real, with still over 5 million monthly listeners and Mo Bamba quickly approaching 1 billion streams, honestly Sheck could easily be set for life if he's managed his money well. He's also never really seemed like the type of guy to even care about clout or these big numbers. I want to leave a legacy where my great-great-grandkids are like, look, that's my grandfather's name. I want to build schools and hospitals because that's what true legacy is. So while yes, Sheck Wes's hype has significantly died down since Mo Bamba took the world by storm, not only do I think he's okay with that, but again, a song like Mo Bamba is incredibly difficult to follow up, especially as a new artist.
Starting your career backwards, you gotta be a superstar from the jump. So sometimes it's a lot to handle.
At the age of 25, Sheck Wes has already accomplished his biggest goals while also making millions of dollars in the process. With an iconic hit to his name that will live forever, coming from where he did and experiencing everything he went through, it's understandable if Sheck wants to just chill now and live his life on his own time. What initially seemed like out of nowhere, this guy named CJ dropped one of the biggest drill records of all time. Back in 2020, when Whoopty began mysteriously climbing the charts, many fans were surprised to hear that it was not made by Pop Smoke or even King Von, but rather a Staten Island artist named CJ. However, as we're about to see, maybe this was all actually planned and set up from the start. According to CJ's bio, he was, quote, raised on the sidelines of the music business, referring to his uncle and also manager, James Cruz, who just happens to be a very established executive with connections all over the industry.
I'm gonna help the kid. I'm gonna help him. He deserves it. He's family. It was like his pops called me and I gave his pops a promise and I spoke to his moms and I said, I got this. I'm gonna get him a record deal.
But after his multi-platinum hit Whoopty, CJ hasn't been able to achieve nearly close to that same success. Is he simply another one-hit wonder? Why did CJ disappear so fast? Did his addiction to blue cheese finally consume him? Believe it or not, Whoopty was actually the first drill song that CJ ever recorded. At this time in 2020, the UK drill sound had not only taken over all of Brooklyn and New York, but thanks to the emergence of young superstar Pop Smoke, the entire world was now taking notice. However, following Pop's unfortunate murder at the age of 20 years old, the drill scene was then left to find its next leader. Enter CJ. Although CJ had been posting songs on his SoundCloud since he was 19, including a suspicious early 6ix9ine feature due to reasons we'll see in a second, it wasn't until July of 2020 when one song would change this Puerto Rican rapper's life forever. Different from his previous melodic tracks and inspired by the loss of Pop Smoke and his homie's advice, CJ decided to hop on this drill-type beat he found one day on YouTube.
Everybody was just telling me like, yo, I can hear you on a drill song. Like, let me see something. You feel me? So, recorded Whoopty. That was my first drill record that I even attempted to rap on. You know what I'm saying? And it happened to be a hit.
And a hit it was indeed, thanks to a little help from going viral on TikTok in addition to a major early cosign from Cardi B. With its catchy hook and fire beat, If You Were Outside in 2020, there was honestly no escaping this song. Whoopty contains a very popular vocal sample from the Indian song Sanam Re, which after first being heard in Mimo 600's 2019 track Exposing Me,
Ain't no exposing me. I be in them trenches where niggas say he's supposed to be.
Then saw King Von hop on the song's remix.
Ain't got no holes in me. I be quick to run up, let it pop, that's just the O in me.
Then that same year was remixed again by FBG Duck and Ruga, using it as a response diss track back at their rivals.
That's the way it go. I'ma hit this cut, you hit that cut, better know which way to go.
Along with then even Pop Smoke himself, who rapped over the sample on this unreleased track.
I'm often dangerous. Ain't no parking acted like ain't no stain in us.
But yet, with currently almost 500 million views on YouTube, CJ's Whoopty has more streams than all of these other songs combined. However, as the song continued to blow up more and more every single day, along with it came more controversy. Following Following the massive success of Whoopty, CJ would go on to sign his first record deal with Warner Records in 2021. And while it's normal for labels to go after the artist with one of the hottest songs of the year, it is not so normal how CJ's breakout hit appeared to have even broke out in the first place. We chose Warner Records because we wanted to work with a team that felt like family, said CJ's uncle and manager James Cruz. I've been on this ride with CJ from the beginning. He is the sum of all parts of my career and industry experience. It turns out James Cruz is an award-winning record executive in the music business. As we can see here from his LinkedIn profile, Cruz served as president of the legendary record label Bad Boy Entertainment for 9 years. And while president, James Cruz was not only Diddy's exclusive manager, but then he also played a key role in building the careers of other stars such as 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj, French Montana, and Rick Ross, to name a few. It's also important to note that back in 2005, Bad Boy Records had formed a joint venture with one of the 3 major record labels. You guessed it, Warner Music Group.
So there's a history there. So now I ain't got to worry about all the bullshit that I'm seeing through. Now I know Julian's going to rock this one the right way and do everything right. And I know Chris Atlas, who's over at Warner, is going to do things the right way. So we signed to Warner.
His star power was obvious, as was his ambition to be an artist at the highest level. Warner CEO told Billboard after CJ signed, his energy was infectious and he had already surrounded himself with a top-notch management team in James Cruz.
When the record label started calling, they were like, yo, we love the record, but James, we love you. They love my work ethic, they love my vision, and they love my success.
James's involvement with his nephew's career is likely also the reason he was able to land that big feature from 6ix9ine on his early track Pop, because especially when he was so hot back in 2018, 6ix9ine was not just gonna do a feature for some random. His uncle also had to play a big part in connecting CJ to Rick Ross, who brought him out at shows, French Montana, who basically became like his mentor, Mark Wahlberg, who comments on literally every one of CJ's pictures, as well as also getting Whoopty its first radio streams and DJ spins to get it off the ground. However, along with these claims of nepotism and CJ being an industry plant, also came controversy regarding the actual meaning of Whoopty. Back in November of 2020, CJ explained the meaning of the word to Genius, although he left out one very important detail.
Pretty much it's just like a roll call, you know, whenever I see my guys in the street, and you know, that's how we greet each other. It's like a New York when people say, "You're."
CJ had failed to mention that prior to making it famous, the phrase Whoopty was a greeting used exclusively by members of the New York blood set, the Bloodhound Brims, a gang that CJ was allegedly never a part of. Despite featuring red bandanas throughout his music video, as well as even lyrics in his viral song about posting up with the hats, a term referring to the Brims, as the track grew in popularity, numerous New York street gang members started calling CJ out for being fake Whoopty.
He's not Whoopty. He don't know nothing about Whoopty. Now you jacking something that they got dudes in jail for. There's allegations behind that word right there that made it such a splash.
CJ basically didn't have no ties and just basically just jacked their whole shit.
Then following diss tracks aimed at him from fellow rappers such as 22G's and Knuckles Brim, despite CJ never telling us directly if he's affiliated or not, he would finally respond to the rumors about stealing the word.
I never stole anything, you know? Just because I said the word in a song or I made it a song doesn't mean I took ownership of the word. I never said I owned the word. I never said I created the word.
However, while I suppose that was true at the time of the song's release, only a few months later in October of 2020, it was revealed that CJ had filed a trademark application to literally own the phrase Whoopty, which, as you could guess, did not go over well at all.
As far as him being him, he's not him. Then you gonna copyright our shit? You copyright our shit? Like, yo boy, your head not good. You better uncopyright our shit, nigga.
And if word that you've been false flagging wasn't bad enough for CJ's street credit, then came the memes of him appearing to twerk in his next music video. Following his smash hit Whoopty and its multiple remixes, CJ would then drop his debut project Loyalty Over Royalty in 2021. This 8-track EP under Warner not only included a French Montana feature, but was also executive produced by French as well.
I hit up James Cruz, and James Cruz like you want in? I'm like, yeah, I want to, come in and help out. Right.
Selling 12K first week, which isn't terrible for a debut EP, it was the song Bop though that drew the most attention, specifically due to this part in its music video.
We on top now, I'm on the strip with the top down. We on top now, I'm on the strip with the top down.
Although the edit low-key makes it look like it's CJ in the red coat and black pants twerking in front of the camera, upon further examination we can see that unfortunately for the meme's sake, CJ is right there. After only being signed to Warner Records for 9 months, CJ would then split from his label over, quote, creative differences. 2022 was another underwhelming year for him before then returning with a new single, Gangsta, back in January of this year, now independently released under CJ Music Group. I took a year off to raise my son and be a father, he posted with the song. To me, that's gangsta. Despite, I suppose, it being respectable that he wants to be there for his kid, but you can't just go ghost for a year in today's industry and not expect to see a decrease in relevancy. Many of the biggest artists in the world also have children too. Might be the biggest mistake of your career, one of the top comments reads. That's not gangsta, that's fucking up your job. But if we are being real, while it may seem like CJ only had a minute of fame in the spotlight with Whoopty, the truth is that one song has made him enough to potentially be set for life if he's managed his money well. And while yes, it's clear that his uncle's connections and industry knowledge have given him a massive boost in his career, we still do have to credit CJ though, cause if the song was trash, it wouldn't have blown up at all like it did. And honestly, as an artist, who wouldn't take advantage if you had an uncle that connected?
If you were an artist and you had access to somebody like me, wouldn't that be a blessing? Wouldn't any artist on the face of the earth love to have that?
At currently over 5 million monthly listeners and with Whoopty on its way to 1 billion streams, CJ has now been dropping more Latin music since, as he says, I'm not a drill rapper. I'm a versatile artist who just happened to blow up off a drill song. At least until his debut album releases though, which he's been teasing for the past 3 years, it's pretty easy to label CJ as a one-hit wonder. But like other guys such as Designer or Sheck West, who I covered in my last video, being a one-hit wonder isn't totally a bad thing. I mean, at least he had a hit, right? Countless artists work their entire lives and still never come close to the numbers of Whoopty.
Rip off, industry plant, one hit wonder, false claiming. It's like y'all judging me off of a YouTube video. Y'all don't know my life. Y'all don't know what I've been through.
While it's easy to say that he just got lucky or to point to his uncle's industry connections, CJ still deserves credit for his smash hit Whoopty. However, now at the age of 26 and fully independent, it's going to be very tough for CJ to escape that shadow of his breakout hit.
Either it comes once in a lifetime or once in a career. You know, you don't really hear Whoopties every day. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard record to chase.
At the age of 18, Designer dethroned Rihanna and Drake for the #1 song in the entire world. This now 8-time platinum hit Panda would also quickly lead to a record deal with his idol Kanye West, changing Designer's life forever. However, as we're about to see, changing it very negatively. Despite what seemed like such a promising career, today we honestly never hear about Designer anymore. Well, besides his recent viral airplane incident where he, quote, showed his magic stick to the flight attendants in a story so ridiculous it's almost hard to believe. But looking back, what actually caused Designer's historic downfall? Is Kanye West really the one to blame, or is he simply just another one-hit wonder? The truth is much deeper than it appears.
You know, I was going through like a little mental thing. I was coming up out of high school. My pops just went in a coma. This version of me is done. It's done. It's done! It's done! It's done! You already know that word.
One thing Designer is definitely known for is his unique ad-libs, which he actually tried for the first time ever on Panda. The idea for this iconic single came while crashing cars on GTA, inspired by the white BMW X6, which colors resemble that of a panda, and then paired with a $200 Meek Mill type beat his friend found on YouTube. 18-year-old Brooklyn rapper Designer was set to release one of the biggest songs of the year.
I've never been to Atlanta. I've never seen Atlanta. I've never smelled Atlanta.
Despite the opening bar, Designer had never been to Atlanta prior to recording the song, but according to him, the lyric's still true. I met this girl on Facebook who said she was from Atlanta, so I was like, alright bet, I got broads in Atlanta. As only the second song posted on his SoundCloud back in December of 2015, it wasn't long before Panda began raking in millions of organic streams. Basically off word of mouth, the song was spreading like crazy, and Designer immediately knew he had something special.
I was in the elevator, and then everybody was like, they looked at me. They're like, you're #1. You feel me? I'm #1 on SoundCloud, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, cool.
However, as we'll see in a second, getting a hit song this big and this early in an artist's career is honestly a gift, but also a major curse. Along with Designer getting thrown into the mumble rap conversation came the many undeniable comparisons to another rapper, Future, which thanks to his deep voice and triplet flow, again they definitely did sound very similar. They say I sound like Future, but I tell them no, I am the future. Big ups to Future, he makes beautiful music too, Designer told Complex. I'm not a hater or a critic, I actually like his music. Although I think it's safe to say that Future didn't feel the same way.
The right side, y'all must be Designer fans or Sierra fans or some shit.
Regardless though, all of this would only help the song continue to blow up more and more every single day. There was simply no escaping Panda in 2016. However, while now looking back you could argue that he did do more harm than good, it wasn't until another artist stepped in and helped carry Panda to the #1 song in the world, Kanye West. At this time in 2016, Kanye was gearing up to drop his 7th studio album while also building his own record label, Good Music, something he'd soon go on to call, quote, the worst mistake of his career. But as Designer continued to take the internet by storm, his smash hit eventually caught the ear of Kanye, who instantly heard the potential. And despite, as Designer claims, an 11-label bidding war to sign him, all it took was one phone call from Kanye for his mind to be made.
Everything kind of like blacked out. Once I heard him saying he called, I ain't gonna lie, like, I'm like, word, because I'm so moving in like the moment. I just been through like 11 labels. It's late at night too, so I'm like, yo, I bet.
The two would first meet outside the LA airport after Kanye flew him out to pitch an idea. That idea being to use Designer's verses from Panda on The Life of Pablo. He played part 2 for me in the car at LAX in front of the paparazzi. We was vibing to it and he was like, yo, you f with that? I didn't have to go in and do more takes or nothing, he just took my song. I was like, hell yeah, Yeezy, I love it.
I met him at the airport actually, and the way he was just dancing to the music, I was like, this man, it's just pure feeling, energy, artistry, melody.
It was then officially announced at the iconic Yeezy Season 3 fashion show and listening party in February of 2016 that Designer had signed to Kanye's record label Good Music in partnership with Def Jam. They're definitely a great camp, said Designer of Kanye's team. The way they move at Good Music is strong and they stay united.
A few moments later.
We would then see Designer featured on 2 tracks off Kanye's chart-topping new album. Designer's signature ad-libs landed him a feature on Good Music's star-studded single, Champions, and also the Panda music video would finally drop with a cameo from Kanye himself. There was also a 15-minute Panda remix featuring verses from every Good Music artist, but as you'll notice the common theme forming here, it was announced by Kanye but then never happened.
And then also we're going to do a version of that song, which we have not titled yet. There's going to be like a 12, 15-minute version with every single Good Music artist on it.
All of this new attention, though, would help push Panda to the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, 3 years before Future ever got his first #1, knocking off Drake and Rihanna's work, which had previously held the top spot for 9 weeks straight.
I didn't even know the billboards, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know what none of that meant, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, for me just to hear, like, yesterday, yo, your song #1, all right? I'm like, how big is it? You know what I'm saying? I'm asking, how big is it?
But the year of 2016 just kept getting better and better for Designer, who, by the way, was still a high schooler. Following the success of his Grammy-nominated Panda, Designer was named to the legendary 2016 XXL Freshman list, alongside stars such as Lil Uzi Vert, 21 Savage, and Lil Yachty, to name a few. However, it was his polarizing freestyle which would not only instantly go viral, but also become the most viewed freestyle to date on XXL.
Timmy Turner, he was wishing for a burner.
Defying all expectations, this unique acapella performance was met with very mixed reviews. Some, like me, loved it, while others thought it was a legit joke. But in an effort to capitalize on the massive hype, Designer would then release his highly anticipated follow-up single in June of 2016. As a full studio version of his XXL freestyle and with production handled by the GOAT Mike Dean, believe it or not, that fire Timmy Turner melody was actually inspired by an app on his phone.
You know, some FX video editor app, you know what I mean, that we used to have on our phones. The loading screen, bro, of the app, bro, had this melody. And every time I'd be on it, I was like, Timmy Turner, you wishing for a burner.
Along with Kanye then laying a verse on the Timmy Turner remix, Designer would also drop his debut mixtape New English in 2016, including the previously released Panda and Zombie Walk. The following year, 2017, saw him put out a string of solid singles such as Outlet, Up, and Life with Gucci Mane, as well as also a single with BTS and Steve Aoki. Not one of these came close to the hype of Panda, although that wasn't too surprising. However, it was 2018 when Designer got the first sign that he may have made the wrong decision. Despite announcing he was planning to drop 2 albums that year, all we would hear was a short EP titled LOD, which again kinda flopped. Now you're probably thinking Designer had his breakout single go #1 on the charts. He signed a record deal with one of the biggest artists out, Kanye West, and then he was named a 2016 XXL Freshman. How did he mess all that up? Well, as we're about to see, things went downhill very fast.
I signed to Kanye West, the biggest nigga that nigga still in the world. Y'all niggas think he's the genius. I think all that nigga shit. Well, to me, nigga, that nigga's crazy, nigga.
"Free me from this label," Designer tweeted after claiming that his label wasn't promoting him or letting him drop music. Designer noticed that neither his label mates nor Kanye himself were sharing his new mixtape like he'd done for the other Good Music EPs that same summer. "I'm the new artist on the roster and I wasn't seeing anyone from my camp reposting my songs. I knew something was off." It was clear that Designer was frustrated with how he was being managed and in his eyes held back. However, the problem was he couldn't even get in touch with Kanye.
I try to get in contact with Kanye. It'd be a million times hard to get in contact with him. I just be like, you know what I mean? I never signed up for that.
That's why I signed to Kanye. I wanted to be in there like, "Yo bro, here's what I've been putting together. There's records with Rick Ross and Pharrell, let me hear some pointers and get some advice from the OG," but I feel like I wasn't getting that at all. I was hitting my attorneys and they weren't able to contact him either. As time went on, it became pretty obvious that Kanye basically signed Designer to just use Panda on his album and then kind of forgot about him. Something we've definitely seen other good music artists also complain about too.
It was more like, Designer, you give me music, I jump on it, and when I need my situation done, nobody's there to answer for it. You know what I mean? It was just like, what the
Although it'd be one of the hardest things in the world to turn down an offer from Kanye West, I actually just made an entire video about the dangers of signing to another rapper, especially one as indecisive as Kanye. Running a record label was the biggest mistake I ever made, Kanye told Billboard. Designer knew he had to escape.
I didn't really get to speak to Kanye as much and shit, and then he wound up going Christian route and then the Trump route and shit. I'm just like, I just gotta get my situation right, you know what I mean?
Designer was finally released from Good Music in November of 2019, however the damage had already been done. His hype had significantly died down and fans seemed to care less about him by the day. Then despite plans to try and reignite his independent career, then came 2020 and the COVID pandemic, putting an abrupt stop to everything. And on top of it all, just to make matters even worse, at the time Designer's dad fell into a coma.
And that's what kind of threw me off with this shit. It's cause, you know, I was going through like a little mental thing. I was coming up out of high school, my pops just went in a coma. I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, I was having a great time, but I just knew something at home was happening. You feel what I'm saying?
Designer has been really struggling with both his career and also his mental health these past few years, as it seemed like he truly couldn't catch a break. However, that still doesn't excuse what happened next. "I didn't get much cootie and was brick hard when I got on the plane," was the response that Designer told the FBI once his flight landed. According to the official affidavit here, on the night of April 17th, 2023, Designer, quote, "obscenely and indecently exposed his genitals and started masturbating in a public place." More specifically, that public place was while sitting first class on an international Delta flight home from Japan. About 60 to 90 minutes after takeoff, Flight Attendant 1 noticed Designer's was out of his sweatpants. She told them no. About 5 minutes later, they noticed it out again and he was beating off. They told him he was going to be arrested. A short time later, they saw it out a third time and ordered him to the back of the plane. When Designer stood up to move seats, a jar of Vaseline dropped in the aisle. "I saw a real great beautiful lady and I just kind of showed her my, magic stick. I thought I was giving her encouragement to keep pushing, you know what I mean? To keep striving for it."
Where he didn't really get much cootie. As a result, he said he was brick hard when he got on the plane.
Like I said, it's such a ridiculous story, but by no means does that make it cool at all. Once they landed, Designer apologized to the flight crew and authorities stated that he did not appear impaired or under the influence. Then, despite a lot of false reports, according to People magazine, Designer was not forced to register as a sex offender, which is honestly huge for any bit of hope he has left for a music career. Although he was charged with 1 count of indecent exposure and sentenced to 2 years of probation, which is by no means a good look either. For the past few months, I have not been okay, and I've been struggling to come to terms with what's going on. While overseas for a concert, I had to be admitted into a hospital and was not thinking clearly. They gave me meds and I had to hop on a plane home. I am ashamed of my actions that happened on that plane. I am admitting myself into a facility and will be canceling any obligations until further notice. Mental health is real, guys. Please pray for me. The truth is, at this point, Designer needs to be prioritizing his mental health over his music career. Honestly, nobody in their right mind would do something so senseless like he did and whip it out with some Vaseline on an airplane, especially someone who had something to lose, as this has basically put a nail in his career. Along with other instances too, such as his multiple breakdowns on Instagram Live or throwing punches at fans at his show, it was clear that Designer needed some help, which it seems he is finally getting. As we just saw from his battle with Good Music and Kanye West while dealing with his father in a coma, in addition to also losing 2 of his close rapper friends, Takeoff and PNB Rock, Designer has been through a lot these past few years.
Why? Why did we do this? Why did we do this? This version of me is done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. That's a Takeoff, bro. It's done.
That was Designer claiming he was quitting rap following the news of Takeoff's murder. However, he would return a few months later with a new single. As of today, Designer's just been continuing to release singles every few months under his own label LOD Records, but nothing has stuck at all. He even tried regaining any bit of hype he could with Timmy Turner 2 to little success. His last project was that mixtape now over 5 years ago, which that in itself is a big factor too in his decline. He hasn't dropped a debut album. With still over 4 million monthly listeners though, and with Panda over 1 billion streams on Spotify alone, as I've said for some of these other quote one-hit wonders I've covered such as Sheck Wes or CJ, a hit song that massive can literally set you up for life if you manage your money well. Not to mention countless artists work their entire lives and still never come close to the success of Panda. I honestly wouldn't even call Designer a one-hit wonder either, considering the fact he has 3 other platinum records. People tend to forget exactly how big Timmy Turner was too. While there's no doubt the industry did Designer dirty, and it definitely didn't help that he was 18 years old with no experience and blew up in a matter of days, you just gotta wonder where Designer would be if he hadn't signed to Kanye and instead went with one of those other 11 labels.
It was fun, but then it started to cause anxiety. I was young. I never was taught not to keep your emotions out the game because I was coming from a place where not too many people made it, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all we got is emotion in the hood.
But now that we've seen exactly why these 5 specific rappers have never really been heard from again, the question still remains though, what happens after a rapper falls off? A rapper's career is about as unpredictable as the music industry itself. Thanks to platforms like SoundCloud and TikTok, these past few years we've seen thousands of new artists blow up seemingly overnight. However, with the rap scene so saturated now and more music being released today than ever before, just as fast as these artists rise is a lot of times just as fast as they fall. While for some the fall from grace is rather quiet, disappearing off the grid or back to the farm, as we're about to see for others though, it's often quite difficult to accept this inevitable fate, leading to them doing whatever they can to pay their bills.
I just want to ask a question. Are you Young Jock? Can you turn around?
I mean, I think y'all put that boy together, yeah.
Oh,
so
you must have fell off or something like.
1111, shout out to you. I wish you many monies for many moons.
Today, you always hear discussion about if a rapper fell off or why a rapper fell off. However, nobody ever talks about what happens after a rapper's career declines and the spotlight fades. Making a living as a successful musician here in 2024 is honestly extremely hard, and I applaud anybody who's able to pull it off. With that being said, the point of this video is not to expose or necessarily call out any of these artists. All good things have to come to an end, and there's really nothing wrong with working a quote normal 9 to 5 and making money legally to pay your bills. So while it is easy to clown and laugh at these no longer popular rappers such as Young Jock, who is out here driving for rideshare apps, along with also appearing on the VH1 show Love and Hip Hop, usually another sign you fell off, I actually respect that way more though than some of these guys like Smoke Burp or YB and Namir, who as we'll see in a second, have resorted to scamming what little fans they have left.
Scammed by YB and Namir for $2,000. He basically agreed like he was gonna pay me my money back. I was gonna be the first one to get my money back once he gets paid or once he gets money in. He was waiting for that, never got no response, so pretty much that's the dud, like charge it to the game.
The lavish lifestyle of a famous rapper appears to be filled with million-dollar record contracts, mansions, chains, watches, girls, and designer clothes. However, the truth is nothing lasts forever. Seeing as the fact that rappers have the biggest egos and most simply couldn't let people see them out working a 9 to 5, this raises the question, what do rappers do after they fall off? Well, in order to answer that, it's important for us to first define what it actually means to, quote, fall off, because there's definitely levels to it. According to the Urban Dictionary, to fall off in rap music means to fall off the radar either due to not releasing any material, releasing crap, or selling out. Today, a lot of fans will tell you that guys like DaBaby, Chance the Rapper, or Roddy Ricch fell off. However, while yes, I would agree they've decreased in popularity as evident through their recent album sales, they're still raking in millions of dollars each year from the massive hits in their catalog and from still playing shows around the world.
Hey yo, what happened to your leg?
I was at the top, and I fell off.
With currently over 26 million monthly listeners, DaBaby is definitely not stressing. With a certified diamond record, I can guarantee you that Roddy Ricch will not be driving for Uber anytime soon.
What, man, so when we talk about feed the streets, this dude got a full diamond fork, knife, and napkin in the fork.
The same also goes for an artist like B.O.B., who besides his flat earth theory, no one has honestly heard about in a decade. But yet with smash hits like Airplanes, Headband, Nothing on You, Strange Clouds, and Magic, I can assure you he's doing just fine financially. Soulja Boy, despite his music career in the dumps, is still raking it in from his iconic hits.
So that number, it was like a subscription, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could text it or call it, and you know what I'm saying? So I'll probably make like $100,000 a month off of that, just people calling that number.
Even these rappers with only one hit to their name, such as Sheck Wes or CJ, who I've both already covered, they could literally be set for life off Mo Bamba and Whoopty if they've managed their money well. Those were two massively successful mainstream hits. So while it's not like you'll catch DaBaby out serving chicken at your local fast food spot, you may however spot a much smaller artist such as Icy Twat who is called out for working at Bojangles. Again though, there's nothing wrong with grinding and getting paid, especially when you consider just how little artists actually make from streaming revenue. To give you a better idea, Spotify pays an average of only $0.003 to $0.005 per stream, which while that makes it one of the highest paying streaming platforms, that still isn't even a penny. For example, here's Pro Era member Desi Hines' 2023 Spotify stats. After working closely with Joey Badass in the past, Desi has kinda disappeared these past few years. With a total of 550,000 streams in 2023, if we do the math real quick, that's only about $2,000. Yeah, there's still Apple Music and the other streaming sites too, but I think you get the point. Where artists bring in the biggest percentage of their income is through ticket sales and merchandise. But at the same time, if you're a rapper who fell off like Smoke Perp, nobody will want to come to your shows or buy your merch. Which then leads to clips like this that go viral for the wrong reasons, only fueling that fallen off narrative even more. The moment you sign to a record label, you no longer own your music, and they are now taking huge cuts out of your profit. Despite these multi-million-dollar advances we see from labels that are extremely tempting to young rappers, the music industry is a very easy trap to get sucked into.
Here's what motherfuckers don't understand about labels. You're taking their money. You're not gonna make a cent until everything you do pays them back that $10 million.
Typically, when a rapper signs a record contract, they are given a budget in the form of an advance payment. This advance can be millions of dollars. However, it is not free money, but rather a loan that the label expects to recoup in revenue brought in from the artist, with the intent to pay for everything an artist needs to create their album, including general living expenses, studio time, music videos, etc. In many cases, though, these young rappers don't budget at all and instead get carried away blowing their money on cars and jewelry, basically living like rock stars. But then the problem comes when they finally do finish their album and hand it over to the label for release, only to watch the sales come back much lower than expected. Thus, they refuse to spend more money on your promotion. When this happens, management will also likely pull back on the number of releases you can drop if your new songs are consistently flopping. And as we've seen on countless occasions, this leads to even more tension from artists who've been shelved by their labels.
When everybody said, oh, my record label's controlling me and I can't get out of this deal, bro, the record label's sitting back like, wait a minute. You didn't do anything. Your shit flopped. The $10 million we gave you was for you to make a dope project that wasn't gonna flop. You already broke your contract, so now you think we're gonna let you go away and just get out of this deal while still owing us money? No.
Eventually though, labels will decide they no longer want to work with an artist and then drop them. And while artists still have some money coming in from their past catalog, usually at this point it's nowhere near enough to fund that lavish lifestyle they had been living. You'll often hear rappers claim that it was their decision to go independent, which while that could be part of it, at the same time these major labels hold the power and influence in the industry, and if we're being honest, if they really wanted you, they would have dropped a bigger bag.
One thing y'all gotta know is now, your boy is independent, bruh. I'm fully independent, just me. You feel me? I ain't get dropped by my label, no crazy shit, nothing like that.
Basically, me and my label, we just weren't seeing like eye to eye and shit, so they finally let me go after a long time.
Meanwhile, this whole time, all the bills these rappers had been putting off have also been quickly adding up. The rent on their new condo is due, the lease payment for that new sports car, lawyer fees, accountant fees, and then of course we can't forget taxes. Today, given how easy it is to record yourself straight from your bedroom, we've seen thousands of new artists blow up off 1 or 2 songs on SoundCloud or TikTok. However, with the music industry now more saturated than ever, it's time to answer the question, what happens after their 15 minutes of fame is up? There are 2 different routes a rapper can go once they have truly fallen off. Route 1 is to deny the fact that they fell off and continue with their career as if nothing happened, or Route 2 is to accept that they had a good run and peacefully depart onto something new. Let's start with the first one. While there's nothing wrong with continuing to make music because you simply love making it, and for the fans who still listen, whether that be a million or a few hundred, however, there are a few clear signs that a rapper's career has rapidly declined.
Pay all this money to just come here and stand like this. Y'all look weird as shit. Turn the up. You are not too cool to jump. Turn the up.
Along with significantly low album sales and streams will also come a significant decrease in the size of crowds at their shows. One of the best ways to judge an artist's true popularity is through physical ticket sales, because an artist like Smokepurpp can have 4 million followers on Instagram, but how many people will really come to his show? For this reason, you'll often see struggling artists instead shift their focus to overseas fans and try and rake in some money there while they still can. Since they typically only perform there once every few years, the venues sell out, which while that's great and fans seem to enjoy the performances, you just have to remember that an artist like Icy Narco, who is posting and flexing about his sold out dates in France, couldn't even sell half the amount of tickets here in America. So then you'll begin to see them take smaller bookings such as frat parties and birthday events. In an effort to stay relevant, another tactic these falling rappers try is to hop on whatever wave and sound is currently trending at the moment, such as Smokepurpp clearly biting Yeet.
I had to leave that little bitch alone, it was for the better. Popping them Perkins and it's with my mama on it for the better.
But while some artists stay and milk whatever last dollar they can out of their music career, others instead choose to leave on a more peaceful note. One of the rare cases where a former rapper becomes even more popular in the music space after rapping is Joe Budden, who following a total of 8 albums decided to officially retire in 2018 to focus solely on his new career as a podcast host. The same goes with Trinidad James, who after blowing up with his debut hit All Gold Everything was later dropped by his label in 2014. But now, along with landing a few acting roles, Trinidad James is also a host of the Full Size Run podcast on Complex.
I just feel that if niggas was gonna stop me from doing my thing in the game, they would have been stopped me. And if you were gonna kill me, you should have killed me 5 years ago.
Once one of the hottest rappers out thanks to his smash Billboard #1, This Is Why I'm Hot, following just his second album, Mims chose to put the mic down and move into the technology field. A few years later, launching this new app called Recordgram with the goal to help artists and producers contact each other with no unnecessary middlemen. Along with opening up his own restaurant in Houston and winning the Good Morning America title for Ultimate Burger Spot, former rapper Bun B has also been teaching a hip-hop and religious course at Rice University since 2011.
This class, Religion and Hip Hop Culture, offers an opportunity to explore the connections between religion and hip-hop in ways that open us to seeing our world differently.
Ice Ice Baby rapper Vanilla Ice has been buying and flipping lakefront properties in South Florida for the past 15 years, even landing a show on HGTV called The Vanilla Ice Project, which ran for a successful 9 straight seasons. Khalees, the rapper behind the 2003 smash Milkshake, has since moved onto a farm where she's apparently found liberation with the 30-plus animals she cares for, while also still collecting checks from the countless movies and shows her song is featured in, such as Dodgeball and Mean Girls. Although Lil Xan, best known for his SoundCloud hit Betrayed back in 2017, still puts out music every few months, it's also great to see that despite his fall in the music scene, Lil Xan has turned his life around and is now completely sober.
I've been sober now for a year and I believe 6 months.
Wow, that's dope. But while not every former rapper is smart enough to develop an app like Mims, nor do I see them having the patience to care for a farm, how do these other rappers make money? Often with criminal backgrounds and covered in face tattoos, it can be hard for rappers to land regular jobs after their music career fizzles out. So instead, one of the most common and easiest bags you'll see an artist desperate for money take is to begin posting promo all over social media. From posting and tagging clothing brands such as Fashion Nova, for example, to spamming reposts and hundreds of advertisements on their stories every single hour. Then you get artists like Smokepurpp, who after I was curious about how much he's charging for a feature these days, basically started begging me to buy one in my DMs. Now, to be honest, I actually like a lot of Smokepurpp's music and probably would have really tried to work with him for a verse. That is, if I hadn't seen the numerous posts and videos about the nightmare that ensues securing a Purpp feature.
Anyways, we go back and forth. We agreed on him sending me just the vocals separately. He never sends them.
And who knows how many of these other SoundCloud rappers are out here scamming what used to be their loyal fans just for a few $100. Fans agree to pay these rappers to hop on their song and send them the money, only to be ghosted by them and never hear anything back. However, there's definitely other ways these rappers get money too. Driving for Uber Eats and DoorDash is actually pretty common, especially since these rappers don't have to show their face delivering food, along with some also becoming truck drivers such as former Houston rapper Lil Troy. Working like this allows them to avoid getting called out, such as Young Jock and Roscoe Dash have been, both of them going viral after multiple people claim to see them driving for Uber and Lyft.
As an entrepreneur, it's important to have multiple sources of income. The Lyft is no exception to creating multiple sources of income. There's nothing wrong with driving Lyft.
Working for call centers or remote jobs from home is another frequent route many go to avoid showing their face. Because while again there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart, as we saw with this post that went viral last year allegedly showing Ugly God working there, despite Ugly God himself saying it was Photoshop, the picture spread all over social media as fans got a good laugh, many believing that his rap money had truly dried out. Similar to Bun B, some rappers try and get into the food and restaurant business, such as Blueface with his soul food spot Blues Fish and Soul, or another SoundCloud rapper Comethazine who owns multiple Subway locations.
Have you smoked that?
I still got ice and shit, but like I got a couple businesses already.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Dang, you got 2 Subways already?
Mm-hmm.
That's very impressive. And you're
And
20.
didn't fire nobody. Shit's still working itself, you feel me?
You'll also see some artists go back to college or finish getting their degree online. Some like Designer rent different properties out that they own. Some like Blueface, Lil Pump, or the Island Boys go the OF route. Some like Fetty Wap go back to making money in the streets. Or some continue to work behind the scenes in the industry, ghostwriting or producing. Then you'll get a rare case like T Grizzly, who after beginning to stream on Twitch now claims to make over $200K a month just playing GTA.
So what I did was I created a server, a Grand Theft Auto server. I get paid from the server because you got to pay to get in. I stream it on Twitch, right? I get paid from Twitch. I take the Twitch videos that I already streamed, put it on YouTube, get paid from YouTube. Should turn into down there 50 a week.
But another very common and easy bag a lot of these guys take is signing up for Cameo, the website where you can pay celebrities to send you custom videos. So for example, you could pay Riff Raff $100 to send you a personalized video for any occasion, which I actually went ahead and did, and it's about exactly what I expected.
1111, shout out to you. I wish you many monies for many moons. Dan Tony on the wings. From me and Holly, you know it's all about how you feeling. Cause how you feeling, yeah, right mama? How you feeling determines how your day's gonna go and how you're gonna be treating others. If you're sleepy, you're gonna be sleepy. Dan Tony, wings.
Money well spent if you ask me. The journey of a rapper who has fallen off is about so much more than just reclaiming their lost fame. While some are lucky enough to sit back and enjoy their passive income, for others it's about rediscovering themselves and embracing change for a new life outside of music. Because one thing's for sure, although the music stops, the story keeps going. Again, we have to give these artists credit for even getting a hit song or becoming popular in the first place. And although the majority of the ones we just saw are happier now with their new lifestyles, at the end of the day, nothing good lasts forever. Appreciate you guys watching, and make sure to check out my main channel 1111 for more videos.